Hello. So we did not film an intro for this video because we thought we were just going to cut it together with the night 1 recap, but it was really long, so we split it up between the 2 nights. So we did not film an intro, so that's what I'm doing now. I'm just putting in an intro saying, hi, this is part 2. And yeah, that's it, so enjoy. Okay, so I guess we're gonna start talking about night 2. That's 4.
Yes, indeed.
2.
Oh my god, a four-night Mania? That'd be lit.
Okay, someone start us off.
Obviously, we're starting with, an even better national anthem sung by Ava Max. Queen Ava Max, I should say.
She had some pretty bad moments there. That was not very good.
Yeah.
I think the positives outweighed the negatives, and all in all, 10 out of 10.
Can you tell me what some of those positives were?
Yeah, please.
Her hair was great outfit.
Okay.
I thought it was like an homage to Rhea Ripley, who she was, I think, rooting for secretly for the triple threat match, which is what we're getting into.
I actually have one thing to say before the triple threat match. I have it written in my notes. Stephanie McMahon's dress, OMG, just awful.
Was it that bad? I don't really remember it.
It was like this beige, shimmery.
Oh no, I do
something.
remember. Yeah.
It was terrible.
That's a good dress.
What, you're looking at it right now?
Yeah, that's a very good dress. She looks very regal. My father!
Is that your impression of her?
Yeah, I can't really do a good one.
For this match too, others as well, but this one to begin night 2. The crowd was kind of awful this whole weekend.
Yes.
Oh yes.
They didn't really know what they wanted. I don't know that I've ever heard they just booed EO, which I feel like never happens.
Yeah.
Even when Damage Control was up to no good. So I don't know what was going on there. They've been booing Bianca. Not just Vegas though. I guess that's just a thing now. I don't know why that is, but that happened again.
They did share because they're racist.
For sure.
They shouldn't get another WrestleMania.
Should be looking for Shai Hulud. But probably the best match, right, of the night. Maybe even the whole thing.
Match, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the match of Mania for me too.
The main event from night 1 was great, but as far as for storytelling, but as far as just the match goes, it was definitely this match that took the cake.
And match with the best gear.
Oh,
yep. You liked the gear.
I liked the gear in this match. I gave everyone really good scores. I liked EO's because it was chartreuse, and that's like my favorite color. I thought it looked really good. I know she kind of wears the same thing all the time, just like different colors, but I like what she normally wears anyway, so I liked that. 8 out of 10.
Nice. Highest so far, right?
Highest so far. Bianca, also 8 out of 10. I loved the color scheme with like the gold and the roses and that. I thought it looked really good. But she did have butt straps, but they weren't as offensive to me as some of the other butt straps I saw. Okay. So I really enjoyed it. And Rhea, I gave a 7 out of 10. I really liked the all black, but she did have butt straps, so that is.
What did you think of the red lipstick?
I liked it. I liked that she kind of switched it up. It did, get smudged because I think someone smushed her face or something, but
and they went just like that. They went.
Yeah, this is what you do in wrestling, right?
Yep, that's her finisher, the smush.
Yeah.
Also, she usually has wardrobe malfunctions, like just stuff falling off of her gear all the time, and I don't really remember it happening.
No, I don't think it did. Some of Bianca's roses were falling off.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, because I feel like Rhea usually has chains and things, and they're breaking and falling off normally. But yeah, I didn't notice any of that with this particular. I'm gonna call it an outfit. It's not called an outfit, but
call it a getup. This
getup that she was wearing. Yeah.
Realistically, you can make an argument that if this went on after the main event of night 1, that this would have eclipsed that in the moment and would have made sense as an actual main event. So the next best place for it to go would be to open night 1 or night 2, because obviously Cena and Cody were main eventing. I think they hit it out of the park with the chemistry between all three of them, leaning into, Bianca getting booed, leading into the heel aspects of that. And I thought the finish was great. I really thought for a second Bianca was going to win. And it's always hard to try and not see a spot coming. But after she did the KOD to Rhea, I was like, oh, obviously Io is going to still be up on the turnbuckle.
Mm-hmm.
The camera work with her was at least great, because there's been times where like the camera will just cut straight to Io while she's still getting ready. That takes all the suspense out of it.
What were your predictions for this match?
I did pick Io. She was my pick. I went full 7-0, so from here on out I got everything right.
Oh, nice. Okay, I picked Bianca.
Yeah, I also picked Bianca, the Night 2 prophet over here.
Well, a couple of them we'll get to it when we go in order, but a couple of them, like the two matches where we didn't know, like there was somebody missing. I didn't make those predictions until I knew who was coming out.
Oh, see, I made the predictions before I knew who was coming out.
Really?
Yeah.
In both cases, I picked who we already knew was guaranteed. So I figured no matter who got replaced, they would actually just be losing. And they're there for like a pop or a moment.
If KO was still there, would you have picked him?
No. I think I would have picked Randy all the way. And now we're not going to be able to pick him for a couple years.
No, that sucks. Do some voice acting or something, man. Do what everybody else does when they're hurt.
Get him in a Peacock show with Samoa Joe.
Yeah, he'll be on season 3 of Twisted Metal.
Yeah.
Does Poker Face have any slots left?
I'm sure season 3 they'll have some
show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, overall, almost definitely the best. It was never going to main event because the Cena and Cody just has too much juice, but definitely great for an opener.
Yeah.
This match went 14.5, which
really?
I mean,
it felt longer
way
than that.
Longer in a good way.
Yeah, I agree.
It was very, very little downtime where you thought, oh yeah, they're really trying to figure out how to prolong this. They had everything planned out and it went like to a T.
Yeah.
They probably actually even they probably gave themselves like a guesstimate of how long it was going to be, and they probably way undercut it in a good way because everything went smoothly.
I guess it could have, if they wanted it to, it could have gone longer too, because you had a couple matches that didn't go very long during night 2. The Orton and Hendry just was like, not even 5 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. Even with that, it ended up still being a great result, so I'm fine with how it ended up.
They gave Logan and AJ more time.
That is kind of crazy.
Or it just went longer. I think it went longer because that match did feel like a slog compared to this match.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see where this goes. As far as I had picked Bianca to win. I figured she'd go on some type of heel campaign. She's never really had a full-fledged-ish on her own, especially separated from like her husband or whatnot. But Io retains, which I'm not upset by. I just didn't see it coming. Wondering like who takes time off, if it's going to be Rhea, Bianca, both of them, and what's next for Io, unless it involves like, because one of these matches, I believe, that happened on night 2 is going to have, I think, ramifications already tonight as far as who, like, and where their next feud goes. Who's going to challenge Io? Maybe someone comes back, and that's
It would be a nice night for Asuka to come back if she's ready.
Mm-hmm. Asuka or Kyrie. There's been footage and stuff of her like working out and like being active, and it looks like, there's no beneficial report that she got cleared. That is a good sign, and if it's ready, like maybe tonight is the night, because we already know one confirmed return on Friday, SmackDown this week, is going to be Aleister Black. So I think either Io's next feud is going to be a return tonight, or we'll get into the new Intercontinental Champions feud. Do you guys have any last things on the triple threat to open?
No, I think that's it for me.
Yeah, I don't have anything else.
Yeah, so moving on to Priest and Drew, their Sin City street fight that didn't make it to the street, unfortunately.
Doesn't seem to ever.
They just throw the monikers out there. Like I said, I've told Lindsay how there's 6 different names for what is essentially the same type of match.
Yep, no DQ.
No DQ, no holds barred, falls count anywhere, last man standing to an extent.
Yeah, I like falls count anywhere. I feel like they should do that a little more.
Oh, when I play 2K, that's always a stipulation on.
Yeah.
Just so I can if I want to, I can pin them after putting them through the announce table.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can pin them on the ramp, and I don't have to worry about getting them. It's just so much funner.
Yeah.
They had their Sin City street fight.
There's another sponsored entrance.
Yep.
Yeah, this was the
Doom the Dark Ages.
Dark Ages, yes. And then Drew's entrance had the Doom Slayer character with a big ass shield that was like on the ramp, and Drew was wearing some sort of cape Drew had on. It
Yeah.
looked almost like Terminator-esque. It was like, I've never played Doom, so
Maybe we'll talk about a game eventually one day. But Doom is, if you've never played Doom, solid first person shooter.
you can play that on a pregnancy test.
The original,
What?
yes, you can. Yeah, it's been a thing people have been doing for a long time now, where they just see how, like, what devices you can run the original Doom on, and the pregnancy test is one of them. They got
Like
to work.
the digital pregnancy tests?
Yep.
Yes,
How?
And
I
just
really don't know, but
they wire it into that, and then that display, they just turn the display into an actual, like,
Oh.
not TV, but a screen that they use, and then the chip, like, computer that's inside the pregnancy test is somehow strong enough to torrent Doom onto there.
And this was a game that was hard to run in like 1992.
Yeah, so it'd be like if in 30 years, it would be like a modern equivalent that takes a lot to run. Like, I'm sure like GTA 5 takes a lot to run.
Yeah.
Or like a game that's on max settings and like 4K and 144 hertz. If you could run that today, in 30 years, you could run that on something as small as a pregnancy test. Enough about pregnancy tests. This match I thought was, for what it was good. I had predicted Drew for this one.
Me too.
All right.
I just thought that was probably the logical way it was going to go with this storyline. Drew has been doing good work on that. Obviously, he tweeted again during the match, this time with a selfie, and had like more retweets on that post in like literally 5 seconds than all of last year's tweet did.
I'd like to know how they had this set up, because I remember you telling me the tweet had 80,000 likes within like 30 seconds. And then I opened Instagram and it was there at the same time.
Well, it showed him get the phone from a friend or something. He went, took the selfie,
and then handed it back.
And then he did, I think, at least one of the posts himself.
Yeah.
He must have had the draft already there, and then all he had to do was add the picture to it.
Yeah.
And then hit post, and then I guess, yeah, it would cross post onto Instagram.
Yeah, it only makes sense for me, like, for Drew to win. They had that whole Bloodline Killer storyline they abandoned, which I thought was going to be his run of like, oh, I've been putting people over for a while now. Now it's time for him to get his flowers. That didn't end up happening. So I think, fingers crossed, it starts happening here.
They abandoned pretty much most of the good Bloodline stuff. And then Drew was kind of left to just fend for himself and figure out how to make a feud out of this, because they seemingly were like, oh, it's just going to be you and Damian until, like, from the Rumble on. So over 2 months of just them two being the feud. And it's like, how do you stretch that and not be involved after Elimination Chamber 2? Because this was a late Mania, like, every feud took almost twice as long, it felt like. Because there was probably about an extra 3 weeks that they got because of the time, and they're already hard enough to fill in their pre-planned like 4-week run between shows, and this was almost double that.
I was going to say the build-up was still better last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you know there's an assignment due, like it's just around the corner, and sometimes you do your best work when you're under the gun like that. But when you see you have more time, you're like, I got all the time in the world, and you end up just doing worse than if you just were under that pressure.
Yeah, so I can only hope that after this, possibly tonight, just treat it as like a new slate. Not to mean like you can start redoing feuds, but start just all new ones. Like there's plenty of people going around that you can start new ones, and you're not necessarily benching people. Like plenty of other people get quote unquote benched when they're not being used on television. It's like, okay, so why can't you just flip the script for like a couple weeks? And you're giving the other people the break. This is, in all intents and purposes, like WrestleMania is seen as their season finale of what they would call their show.
Yeah.
Because there is weekly television and characters and storyline. And then tonight and Friday night this week, for SmackDown is their season premieres, essentially. So just treat it like that. You can still have reoccurring storylines that from like last season. Obviously, they're going to talk about last seasons. They talk about seasons from 30 years ago still. But do it that way, and obviously you already had a return that we're going to get to that is already kind of one they can lean into tonight, and it's still something new. But the spots in this match were great. A lot of table spots, which was nice. The double tables outside of the ring in front of the announce tables, which, yeah, I don't think we also mentioned the new announce tables that we have. Those have been really nice. And,
equal rights, smash both of them.
yeah, not just the usual, oh, sorry, Spanish announce team, you're going to have no desk for the rest of the show.
Wait, do they do that normally, just the Spanish announce desk?
That's what they used to do. Yeah. They would have, there was a time where the announce table was a little smaller. There was a time where there were 3 tables behind the ring. So you had Spanish, you had Raw's there, and then you had SmackDown's team there. So there's 3 tables. And at most, they would smash all 3 of them, obviously. But there was times where they would only smash one, and it was always the Spanish announce table.
That's kind of fucked up.
But you can't read into it, okay?
Personal opinion, I was kind of sad Drew didn't have on the plaid. Do you know how he has, like, the plaid gear? Or, like, it has the plaid accents on it? That's what I like. It was just plain gray, right? It was, like, gray and black or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had on the... It was just kind of like leather.
Yeah, it was just boring.
He suffered for the sponsorship.
Yeah. Yeah, he totally did, yeah.
Like, yeah, they didn't wear plaid in Doom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like, plaid doesn't exist in Doom.
He's like, dude, this is my WrestleMania. I'm Scottish and I can't wear okay.
Yeah, and then I didn't...
Doom it is.
Like, Damian's thing, like, the tarnished gold look, I didn't really love that either. I appreciated what he was going for. It wasn't doing it for me.
Did you like it better when he took his straps down?
Yeah, because that makes a difference in the outfit for me.
It shows a little more skin, you know?
Sure, but that's not what I'm not judging his body.
Oh, okay. Yeah, me neither.
There is a pop every time it happens, but don't you ask yourself every time it does happen, why are you even bother wearing a shirt?
Yeah.
Oh, I never think that. Think about how many people there are out there that wear or at least, like, have straps. I would never want them to stop. I hope Braun Breaker has straps forever. I hope Chad Gable has straps forever.
Otis.
I hope Otis has them, but he doesn't do it as much, but it's still an option.
It is.
And obviously, like, Maxine has it. Damian has it. Yeah, the more the better. I'm never going to complain about it. Because if everyone had them, I'd just be like, yeah, like, it happens every match. I'd be spoiled.
Pete Dunne.
Pete Dunne, yeah, Butch.
No.
Yeah. Don't dead name him.
He's got to be up there in, like, my least favorite.
It's funny because, and I know this sounds rude, he's really good, but his whole getup is just not, like it's nothing to do with him, but just his appearance. The singlet just does not look good on him.
No.
So every time he comes out, I'm like, oh. And then my brain thinks, I think to myself, like, oh, this is not going to be a good match. Funny part is, it usually is. But I can't associate him with that.
And he always wears the same exact thing. Like, he never switches it up. It's always that same burgundy thing. Yeah. And it's just like,
baby.
God, just try something else. Just try.
The only other note that I have is that, and this is just a thing, not specific to this match, when you call something a street fight, I always just expect it to be way more than it is. And I don't think that's their fault, but maybe just a fault of the company. Stop calling it that.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that.
You could do the same exact thing in a no disqualification match as you can do in a street fight, but one sounds worse.
Yes.
But yeah, in theory, during the street fight, what happened. But then they could have had a no DQ match, and, like, one of them could have gotten shot. And you would have thought, oh, it's only no DQ. You don't shoot people. You shoot people in a street fight. And it doesn't live up to the name. You expect, like you said, way more. I mean, they did, like I said, they did enough table stuff. And I guess I don't mind blood if it's done safely. But also, you know, your body, your choice. So you want to cut your head open, I mean, be my guest. I am just not going to feel bad for anything that might possibly go wrong. Surprised to not see any color this weekend.
I was too, at all, in anything. Even when, we'll get to it eventually, but even when Cody hit the turnbuckle, there was nothing.
Nope.
Yeah, I for sure thought there was going to be something when that happened.
Cody loves to bleed, so. Drew ends winning with that improvised explosive claymore into the chair, and I think he's probably the first to, if things worked like it was an actual sport per se, and there was actual hierarchies that you followed, and that's how you got in line for the next championship, he would probably be like the number 1 seed. And depending on how quick they do that, are they going to do it for Backlash with Jay? Or are they going to give Jay someone else? Or like I was saying as like a joke, is somehow Jay comes out, does an open challenge, Drew answers, and Drew squashes him.
Yeah.
And ends up with the title. Like, I don't know. That would be just crazy to happen, but I don't
know if it'll happen like quickly.
No.
I don't. If Jay still has his title by SummerSlam, I would be shocked. That would be a 4-month title reign. I feel like that's too long. Yeah, it's got to be like 2, maybe 3 months max.
And he only held the IC title for what, 2 weeks?
I think it was technically a month, and he had like 2 defenses during that time.
Yeah.
Or 2 matches. I think he had 1 defense and 1 loss.
Lovely. Following that, we had another just amazing match. Fatal 4-way for the Intercontinental Championship. Penta versus Finn Balor versus Dominik Mysterio versus Bron Breakker, the champion. I thought this match was also just great chemistry. Flowed very well. I did predict that Dom was going to win. I thought the only thing that I had thought that didn't happen really was I thought more Judgment Day infighting and like implosion was going to happen. It didn't happen so much to that extent. Like, there was kind of teasing it and getting up to that point, but he just kind of pinned him and won. And I'm sure tonight he's going to be like, yeah, but I did it for the Judgment Day, and, you know, it didn't matter which one of us won. We just have to have the belt here, and I saw the opportunity to do it. I just thought they were going to do more of that on the night, in ring, but I'm not upset by it.
You think there's a chance that Dom gets a big head and him and Liv start to have some problems, and they start to, like, this is the beginning of the end of that? I think there's a chance of that happening.
Yeah, now that they don't have, now that there's only 1 belt and it's Dom, he's gonna be like, bitch, go get me some chicken tendies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. It was just fun to watch. Penta's gear, I'm pretty sure, was the Green Ranger, right? That's the only thing I could think after seeing it.
I saw a few people online even like post side by side practically confirming that that's what the inspiration was.
He usually has some cool gear. When he was in AEW, he did some cool stuff. He did a Joker like inspired one time for his makeup. It looked really cool. So for cool male gear, there you go. There's a guy to look forward to.
Yeah, I definitely was interested in what he was wearing. Because I mean, I haven't known about him for that long, but in the time that I have seen him, I have liked what he has worn. I think he was my favorite for this match with what he was wearing.
You sure it wasn't Dom?
It definitely wasn't Dom.
What about the boots, though?
The boots?
Yeah, Dom's boots that he always wears, the white ones.
No.
You don't like those?
I don't like them.
Oh.
I liked the weird fuzzy boots he wore the other week.
Oh, I remember, yeah.
Those were kind of fun, but no. I also liked what Bron Breakker was wearing, but like, I liked the half and half. Like, I really liked the concept, but I thought like the all white side looked really weird with like the pink and blue. I don't know, like the contrast was a little weird. Like, that's probably what he was going for, but it didn't hit my eye right.
I'll have to see it again. I don't remember what it looked like off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Wasn't giving me the vibe.
Yeah, it wasn't giving me the vibe, for sure. Yeah,
One note that I took during the match was just Breakker carrying the match only to inevitably lose. This was before the end of the match, and so yeah, I was worried about that.
Yeah.
No sense of real survival of him retaining, because he just threw himself at Carlito, who wasn't even involved in the match.
No.
Simply because he was like, oh, I can kill him, and I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Just for the memes.
Yeah, he's like, I killed him 2 weeks ago, but this is actually, no, I'm actually gonna put him in the ground. I'll get that title back whenever. I'll just invoke my rematch clause and win it back, no problem.
I showed Steven this Reddit post that was like, what was the title of the post? Do you remember? But it was like, oh, rest in peace to this legend. And then it was like Carlito's,
it was Carlito's
like,
real
bio.
government name, like, yeah.
Like, it was just like about him because they were like, oh my god, he's dead because he just fucking ate that.
It was like it was so crazy when it happened. I thought there was a chance he was actually hurt, but no, it was just a really good sell.
Yeah.
Other than that, the spots are pretty redundant in that match. It was still a good match. It just, it did what it had to do.
Yeah.
Speaking of doing what it had to do.
Say his name and he appears. I'm kind of over Joe Hendry. Hold on, it's Joe Hendry.
Yes, according to Michael Cole and Pat McAfee, who were both
slurring their words for sure.
Yeah. No, I thought it was like a meme when he came out. Like, I thought it was like, oh, he's coming out, but Randy Orton's actually gonna, like, wrestle someone else. I thought they were just bringing out Joe Hendry as, like, a joke at first. And then
like somebody would take him out?
Yeah, exactly. Like, someone would take him out and take his place. And then I realized, oh my god, no, this is actually, like, he's actually gonna be in the match. Like, that's hilarious. Because I saw on Reddit earlier that day someone being like, wouldn't it be so great if Joe Hendry was the mystery opponent? And people in the comments were like, that's not gonna happen. They wouldn't have him do that. And then it was him. It was just really funny.
Yeah, I saw that speculation too. I thought there was like no chance it would happen.
Yeah.
It meant no Rusev, which we could still get tonight.
Yeah, tonight could happen.
I'll be hopefully optimistic.
It's gonna be funny to watch this back and see if we're just wrong about everything tonight.
I mean, they're not gonna do it on SmackDown. They're not gonna have 2 debuts, I don't think.
Yeah.
If it's gonna be tonight or it's gonna be in a little while. Like, it either happens tonight as a complete surprise or it'll become a teased vignette for a couple weeks, and then he'll debut either at a PLE or the Monday after Backlash.
Yeah.
They won't blow their entire wad like on one show. If no other returns are happening tonight, hopefully he's the one.
For this one, I did predict before Joe Hendry came out. I did say I thought Randy was going to win.
Okay. So you had him no matter what?
Yeah.
I waited until I saw who it was, and then when I saw who it was, there was no chance that he was going to lose.
Randy did the Joe Hendry turn into his own pose. Yeah, the RKO.
He did the RKO for him and then did the pose. Yeah.
Yeah, which that was great camera work. Even Joe in the ring, Joe Hendry, like, didn't even look to his side like they normally. They'll be looking straight ahead and they kind of hit the when's he coming? But he didn't sell any of that, so that was probably the best part of that match.
Mm-hmm.
It's just great how the match lasted less time than their entrances. So
good for him, though. I mean, just to have a WrestleMania moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, Randy thought was going to be completely class by lifting his arm afterwards. And then I don't know if he was already going to do it or the crowd helped him decide, hey, I'm going to hit you with another one. Even after he did, and then he did the spin, he like went over to him on the ground and was like slapping him on the stomach and like laughing. I was like, oh, wow, who would have ever thought this would be Randy Orton? That's character growth right there.
What's next? Logan and AJ, right?
Ugh.
The highly anticipated battle of Japan supremacy. AJ, obviously, a lot of history in New Japan. And then Logan, I think something about a forest over there. I don't follow it too much. I have been watching, we are not sponsored, but Paul American, wonderful show.
No, it's not.
On HBO Max or
it
just
honestly
Max.
just makes you like them even less than you probably already do.
My love for them is locked right now.
Insert that one clip.
What the fuck are you gonna do about it? I'm uncancelable.
Of
I'm uncancelable. Logan Paul, I do believe, is the if I look it up quick. Yeah, no, right here it says He is the first wrestler to openly wrestle without empathy.
Look, I obviously have a fucking empathy issue. For whatever reason, it just doesn't come supernatural to me.
So
He's
that's
also the first Puerto Rican to beat AJ Styles
yes. Don't forget about that. He is Puerto Rican.
by way of Ohio.
Yeah,
By way of Ohio, strictly for tax purposes.
Literally have in my notes, God, I hate Logan Paul. I just don't want to look at him. I don't want to hear him. Yeah, I just don't want to see him at all. I was hoping AJ would win.
Yeah, I had AJ down as well, thinking they weren't going to give Logan a Mania win over a legend like AJ, but I give him respect. It's just insane for you to say to me. I knew who AJ Styles was, even back when he was in TNA and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then growing up, learning how I learned, who the Pauls were and stuff. If you had told me in like high school that one day Logan Paul is going to pin AJ Styles at WrestleMania, I would probably call the police on you, thinking you're some like psycho person.
The arc of that family is actually insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is an American dream right there.
The match itself, I don't have a whole lot to say about, honestly. Like, it was fine. It was like entertaining. Maybe a little too long if there's any complaint I have about it.
Yeah, we're clocking in at just under 18 minutes they got.
What?
So the second longest match of the night went to Logan Paul.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I attribute that, I think, to Paul. There's clearly things that he has that are not fine-tuned yet, because he is kind of semi part-time.
Mm-hmm.
So you can only do so much training on your own. Training in front of the crowd is a little different.
Yep.
Not to say he hasn't done great at improving. I just think that's probably one part of his game that's left, is the timing of it. So not that ins and outs of what he got for a slot of time that him and AJ had, but I think that was probably a little part of it. Because there was nothing that stood out. It was like a solid match. Like, it was just, it was good. Everyone did their job. There was nothing to go crazy about, but also nothing to be like, oh, they fucking terrible. And enjoyed watching it, yeah. And just was upset that it wasn't AJ that won. They did, obviously, the angle with his buddy, Logan's buddy, and then Karrion tried to show up and help. And AJ didn't want it like that. And then now Karrion went off just today. There was a promo that came out of him.
Oh, I heard about this.
Yeah, kind of shooting. So that'll be interesting to see if they elaborate on that tonight. But other than that, not to be in a bad way, but like a standard match.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot to say.
And then that leads us into the, what's the word? Is it penultimate main event? Is that how we
Yes, you're right.
You're right. Hey.
Yeah.
I don't need a fucking English degree.
A side note, my dad didn't believe me for the longest time when I told him that was a real word.
He didn't believe
and
you?
now he's did not believe me, because they used to say it for, when you'd like watch a weekly TV show, and sometimes they'd say like the penultimate episode before the finale.
Yeah.
And he didn't believe it was real. I used to tell him constantly, they're not making this up. This is a real word.
Yeah. The penultimate main event, favorite Liv Morgan. And
that's ring gear.
No.
Raquel, the women's tag team champions, defending against Lyra, and who was going to be Bayley, but we found out a few hours prior to night one happening, I think it's during the pre-show, Bayley was taken out backstage by someone or got hurt. I don't know who they even attributed it to.
They haven't to anyone yet, right?
Yeah, I don't think
it just happened. I don't know if they planned on this the whole time. I don't know why they did that to Bayley then. I feel like she earned a WrestleMania show this year.
Yeah, I heard it was pretty sudden, like within the last week or so. Which, yeah, if I'm her, I would not have been happy about that.
Yeah.
Interesting to see how they play that out. With, obviously, I spoiled it, her partner being Becky Lynch. And her returning to WrestleMania. And them actually winning the belts. Her and now double champ, intercontinental champion, Lyra Valkyria, who, for me, had the gear of the night for night 2 with the beautiful wings.
I
You like that?
You were gonna say that.
Yep. And the white and gold, I mean, it was just majestic.
So do you prefer the wings on the forearm area instead of the back?
I'd have to see how they look on her when I mean, I think I've seen them before when they're on her back, but
Yeah.
I definitely liked those kind of better because she could do her little pose with it, and I wish she could like wrestle in them. Like that's the type
Yeah.
of create a wrestler I would make and put those on their arms and have that as their in-ring attire.
I will say I liked what she was wearing more than the other 3 women in this match. I gave her a 5 out of 10, but I said I hated the feathers that were flying all over the place, that were like in her hair. Like, I get her whole thing is like being a bird or whatever, but like,
Yeah,
what?
she's a freaking bird.
She's a bird.
Yeah,
She's
she's just a freaking bird.
She's a chimera.
She was molting. That's what was happening.
Yeah, she was.
That's what it was,
molting. Yeah.
Happens this time of year.
Yeah. I mean, Liv and Raquel, I hated the red pleather thing they had going on.
You have a one-sided beef with Raquel, though, in her ring gear.
I just don't think it flatters her. Like, I feel like whoever is dressing her, maybe she's dressing herself, I don't know, but whoever is dressing her is not, like, thinking about what's going to flatter her body. Like, she has a very, and I don't mean this in a bad way, she has, like, a very unique...
Yes. No, you're right.
You know what I mean? Like,
She's got like, she has broad shoulders, and like nobody, I feel like it's hard to, or people don't really get that.
yeah. Yeah. So I feel like whoever is dressing her is not really, like, taking that into account, and it's just, like, they're putting on her what they would put on, like, anyone else. But, yes, that is true. I don't like what she wears a lot of the time, but this red thing, like, I hated the red, like, the shade of red. It was, like, Target red, you know, which is already not a pleasant color to me. And then, you know, Liv with her extensions that are always
10 out of 10.
not blended in, and that
I saw nothing wrong with what she was wearing.
she was, like, risking it all there. That was
For sure.
it was
You
dangerous.
need to seek help, Jacob.
It was dangerous what she was wearing.
It was dangerous.
We definitely could have seen some vulva. That's
This is a family show here.
Well, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm saying this is a family show. We're not talking about vulvi.
Is that the plural?
I don't know. Vulvies?
Vulvies?
Who has ever used that word?
Yeah, vulvies.
Well, actually, you know what? Serial killer Ed Gein had a box of vulvas, so let me see what it says on his Wikipedia page for what the official term is. Yeah, it's vulvas.
Thanks.
Vulvas is the plural.
Okay.
He had 9 in a shoebox.
Oh. The
This
effort
is-
that would take.
This is the... Okay, it's not gonna focus, but this is the list of
Oh, it
all
was
the
low.
body parts he had.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was great to see Becky return. The Irish girls got a nice win. Lyra got to be the second Irish double champ at a Mania after Becky, which is nice. It seemed like they had a nice moment, and we'll see how full-time Becky is with this return and what it, you know, if it's just going to be they're scheduled to appear on Tuesday night for NXT.
Oh, right.
They're facing Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley. Are they just going to drop them to them and then Becky's gone, or is Becky sticking around somewhere?
I don't think it'll be that soon.
Yeah,
They'll
it'll
have
be
them for a
interesting.
little bit. Is there still no NXT women's tag belts?
No, they got rid of those.
Yeah, because they got rid of them when it was Ronda and Shayna, and then they never.
Yeah, they
brought them back.
unified. Yeah.
No, this was another one I predicted before it was revealed who Lyra's partner was, but I figured if it was going to be some big surprise person, that they were probably going
lose.
to win. Yeah, so I got that one right. Just
See, I thought that same thing, like the same thing as you, which is why I made that prediction and got it right. But I didn't. I forgot when I made it that Lyra was already a champion, and if I knew, like if I remembered that, I wouldn't have made that prediction.
Oh yeah.
So it's sort of glad that I did not.
Yeah, that was both of my reasons, or that was one of my reasons as to why I picked Liv and Raquel, because one, I didn't think they were gonna make her a double champ for no reason. You know, essentially, I thought Liv and Raquel were doing a good job with the belts, and they weren't gonna have Liv, after all the good work she's done, drop a title on Mania. But clearly that wasn't in the plan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get Lyra. Like, I feel like
I don't think they get her either.
Yeah, like, I feel like she hasn't shown a ton of personality. Like, I feel like they haven't given her a lot of opportunity to show a lot of personality.
She's a bird.
She's a bird. That's
She
what
is
we
a
know
bird.
about her. She's a bird.
I don't think they know what they want with her yet.
Yeah.
It's sad because she's such a good wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
My bold prediction here is going to be they drop the belts to Tatum and Gigi on Tuesday, and then Lyra versus Becky for the women's intercontinental title.
And what happens there?
They give it to Becky so she can be a Grand Slam champion.
Oh, yeah. Well, hold on. So didn't they already tout her as one when she won the NXT because there was no other belt at that time?
Yeah, so technically now
that
she has to amend it. Like
Okay.
if you're technically speaking, she
Like
is
she's
not
got an
owned.
actress next to her.
Yeah, now it got updated. So for that, she just like Bailey. Now, yeah, and here's the thing, I don't know if they're gonna count both women's titles, because if that's the case, then it's gonna be a while until
Yeah.
there's an actual full-fledged. Seeing as there's only been 2 champions so far, Chelsea for the U.S. Championship and Lyra for the Intercontinental.
Mhm.
But it'll be interesting to see.
Are we ready for the main event? Yeah, I think that's it's at least my feelings. Is it both of your feelings too?
I said boring match, underwhelming.
I agree. I
was
said-
just glad that John won.
yeah, it's what I wanted to happen. So the result, I was not.
No.
I was fine with the result. My one note in that 40-minute match was not great. Travis Scott kind of ruined everything.
I had some things written, like, for some reason, I knew John was gonna win, but my prediction was still Cody. I don't know why. I just threw that out there, just in case. I was like, maybe everyone else is wrong and I'll be right.
Never let them know your next move.
You know, like when an athlete, instead of retiring spontaneously at the end of a season, they announce it beforehand, which happens sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes they just don't have it at all anymore. I wonder if that's what's happening right now, and now we're just sort of kind of stuck in this position.
Yeah.
Because at the end of when it was over, I was like, does he still have it? Like, can we stretch this out for a whole year? Which, I mean, they kind of have no choice now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was saved by Travis Scott, so.
Ugh.
Yeah, you're right. He's the second son.
I liked Cody's mask that he wore coming out. I thought that
was
was
cool.
fun.
Yeah,
That
the
was
Jarvis.
Yeah, it was very Iron Man like.
Jarvis finished the story.
What was going on with his hair? Because I have that written down, hair with 3 question marks. It looked like it was glowing. Like, it was so bright.
It must be the Vegas sunlight is just so powerful.
It just bleached his hair even more.
It just conducted so much energy.
And
Just ran a highlighter through there.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it looked like. The only thing I have written down for John Cena was that I hated his sneakers. They're total, dad shoes, which is fine. And obviously I hate the jorts, but I know
Do you think
that's
he'll
his
retire
thing.
them now? He'll retire them now because he's a new man.
Maybe. We can only hope.
Well, maybe we'll find out tonight.
Yeah, maybe.
Just come out wearing a suit.
I thought that was going to be a lot more exciting than it was.
It was so slow. Not that other things weren't. Like the AJ and Logan wasn't the fastest paced match, but it had some pretty good moments. I don't know if I can pinpoint one great moment from this.
To circle back to that, Jake, how long did you say this match was?
I want to say, because they started a little after 10, I think, right? So probably 30 minutes to 40, right?
Yeah, it does say here at least 25 minutes.
No
okay.
way.
So it felt longer than that.
So there was a lot of entrance and there was a lot of dead time after it. I'm pretty sure 10 of it was celebration and John leaving the ring and whatnot.
Do you think it was supposed to be longer? Or did the other matches just go short?
I don't know, because they seemingly were going to 11 again for 8 hours, across both nights. I just guess however it happened, they had extra time. Maybe a couple other things could have went longer and that would have helped this somehow, because you would have gotten more entertainment from those. As far as the build went, this did not live up to the hype that was generated. I wouldn't say it's all on them, but some of it definitely is. Whatever the reason may be for them not having The Rock is...
Hawaii is the reason.
Will we find out? Will he show up just like fucking tonight? He's gonna show up tonight on Raw.
I'd be so angry.
I don't even know if I'm excited. I'm just interested to see how that turns out.
I guess it won't, like, I mean, this isn't like exclusive to this match, but I guess I won't care that this match wasn't great if I feel like what ends up happening from here on out was worth it.
Yeah, I don't know if John is capable of having another match possible to have it be like, oh my god, 5 stars from start to finish. Have, like, 2 defense. Yeah, so like, are they even gonna bother trying, or is it just gonna be stuff like this? Like John will maybe pull out a crazy move once in like a stipulation match.
He said, well, his whole thing, like when he says he's gonna ruin wrestling, what if like the whole thing is like, I'm not going to defend it. This is just mine now. And then when I tie myself, I'm just going to leave.
Yeah.
And Nick Aldis comes out and says, well, buddy, I'm still in charge around here.
And then he'll be like, I don't care. Get a new one. And they'll just have to get a new title. I do think it was a little bit of a lackluster main event to the night and to the weekend. Depending on where the story of this goes, I can kind of forgive this match, but that's, that remains to be seen. If it doesn't go obviously the way I think it can go or should go, because I feel like The Rock, I don't care about The Rock enough, but he kind of inserted himself into this. So now when he's gone, it feels like it's a giant hole. You should see yourself out, or at least just like write him off somehow to make way for an actual story that can be there week in and week out.
Well, and they said, you remember the beginning of this year, and they said he was like for sure not going to be there. And then I thought, okay, that's why they haven't acknowledged what happened at Bad Blood. And then he comes back and does this. And then I thought, oh, something must have changed. He's definitely going to be there now. And no, nothing seems to have changed at all.
Yeah, Bad Blood happened, and you were like, oh my god, is he here until Mania? Disappeared, and you go, okay, well, they ruined Punk and Drew for having a main event in the Hell in a Cell. But whatever. And then he comes back, and you're like, holy shit, with the heel turn and all that stuff, and then to just not show up since Elimination Chamber.
They definitely knew, too, because remember he came back for the Netflix debut and he came out as his in real life personality.
The TKO, that was TKO Rock.
Yeah, it was TKO Rock.
That was Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, and so, and then at that point, still same thing. I guess he's just not going to be here for this. But he claims that he was. I remember in one of the press conferences after the Cena turn, he was like, "Oh, back then I knew this day was coming. I don't believe you, man, Dwayne. I do not believe you."
He's like, "Cody's been doing great carrying this company." 2 weeks later, I want your soul. Wait, what? I'm sorry. Do you have a split personality here? I think it was the glasses. Yeah, when he had the glasses on, it was corporate Rock, corporate Dwayne Johnson. Talking to the stockholders, and then once he puts the shades on, it's corporate like overlord Rock who just throws his shares around.
They should have had him come out and everybody would freak out, and he's just there. So he should have taken the Stone Cold spot. And
oh my god, no, that would have been terrible. Well,
my god, let's talk about that.
Yeah. It would have saved the lady from getting nailed from the formula.
Great acting on her part.
She looked so pissed off.
10 out of 10 selling.
He lost control, crashing into a barricade.
You never had him chasing around in that thing. Chasing around in that thing.
Got the president of the company to come down.
Yeah.
He's sitting ringside having a good time.
Someone said that she also might have gotten hit by when they pulled the thing off of the announce desk or the table, something like that. She might have gotten
the one
hit.
That Carlito threw.
Yeah.
Oh,
people are saying maybe she was also hit with that, but I don't know because this is just what I've read on Reddit. I didn't see any clips of it or anything.
It wasn't that general spot. I remember when it happened.
Yeah, so maybe she
that's
got hit
unfortunate.
twice in the same night.
If you're in that spot, what are you asking for? Because
Money?
in my mind, I'm like, I'm not gonna see them. I'm just gonna try to get them to pay me off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know how any of that works. I've never had to, thankfully, sue anyone or claim that type of thing. But as far as I know, in John's words of wisdom, is, get as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with him. He would have said he would have somehow gotten over the barricade with his leg hanging in the air.
Yeah.
I think that's the route you go, and you just sell it as much as you can to get as much as you can.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, she's probably going to get something, and what is it going to be? We'll see.
I imagine it's probably like when they negotiate with somebody in the stands, when somebody hits their 500th home run, and they'd send their goons up there, and they're like, "What do you want for this?" And you're like, "I want a signed ball, a signed bat. Everybody's gonna sign this," that sort of deal.
I hope somehow she gets paid something. I do believe she might have embellished a little, but hey, it's a dog eat dog world out there. What's a couple bucks to $1 billion company where she can get a signed belt or something?
Yeah.
She earned it, and I'm not trying to be defending corporate WWE because they definitely have the money. I am just jealous it wasn't me.
It should have been me. It should have been me.
But I'm sure if it goes to court, I can guarantee you there's a clause on the ticket that says you can't be held liable for nothing, because they're gonna be like, do you have damage? If she got actually physically hurt, like a cut or a concussion or something, I think they would be much more liable than just someone bumped into you. And granted, she got hit by the barricade, which got hit by the four-wheeler. It was not that hard.
No, that barely moved too when he hit it.
When we went to the wrestling show in Bristol and we got hit by the wrestlers, that was more impact.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And we weren't upset. We were like, let's go. I was like, I want to do that again.
Yeah.
One of my conditions would be I want Dana White to personally hand me this check and say sorry.
Oh. Yeah, it's got to be one of the downs of the weekend is the Vegas intros from Dana White.
Yeah.
City of Dreamers.
Apparently he's the Vegas czar.
Even though he sold the company, because he just runs UFC, he doesn't have any actual ownership in it anymore, because he sold to what ended up now being TKO too.
Yeah, I think he must have negotiated to be able to stay on as a public face.
Yeah, so I think he still runs the opera, he's still the commissioner, if you will, but he just doesn't have any ownership anymore.
Yeah, so they could come up to him and be like, this is who's fighting, and he'd have to do it.
Yep.
No, I mean, that, like we said, that was kind of slightly lackluster main event to end. I just hope it, if you take it for what it was, we all got the result that we kind of wanted. I love Cody and what he's been able to do. As far as, guiding the company, he's just definitely a better chaser than he is champion. So... They'll have him chase Cena for a little bit and probably take it off of him either by Survivor Series or at SummerSlam. It might be the SummerSlam main event. It's going to be 2 nights this year, so they can clearly do 2 main events and not hurt another person.
I think that's the night one. Maybe.
Yeah, I doubt John is going to have the night one main event. There's, depending on how that story goes, but have him do that. And then I feel down the road there's going to be a heel Cody. He's just he's gonna have to have another run as the top guy, because I think he does it well. But the chase to begin with will be good to see him in again. And then by the time that happens, say it does do SummerSlam, whatever happens if they do King of the Ring again this year, have it be a couple different people that Cody didn't face his first run, and get all those new matchups in there, which I think they're gonna start doing. Cody didn't even face Drew, so that'll be a good matchup, which is right there for the Drew's rising. Drew could even face John. I don't know how quick they're gonna do that, but it's there.
Yep. Yeah, the possibilities are endless.
That kind of caps off our WrestleMania summary.
Wait, Jacob didn't tell us what his favorite look is.
Right. I think I'm gonna go with Penta.
Okay.
I am not a Power Rangers fan at all. I just like the look of it. I have,
give it-
weirdly enough, before we end this, I have a weird Green Ranger connection. The
Okay.
first ever Rhode Island Comic Con I was at, and there was when it was like half of a room. There wasn't even the full convention center back then. And I just saw a bunch of people waiting. Me, my dad, and my cousin. We just saw a bunch of people waiting in line. So we just stood there. We didn't even know what it was for. And we were there for like 20 minutes to a half hour before we decided to ask what it was. And we asked the person in front of us, and it was for the guy who played the Green Ranger. We were like, "Why are we standing in this?" We had no connection to Power Rangers at all. So yeah, that's my Green Ranger story. Not every episode is going to be this long. We've talked about this, but
Mhm.
WrestleMania is a special occasion. It's kind of impossible to condense that all down into a short little episode.
Yeah.
We'll probably iron out like the format and everything going forward. But for right now, yeah, this is our first episode.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
Insert outro here.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah.
Outro.
Yeah.
Outro.